The Lindsay Clancy case explained. This case has been going viral everywhere and it has the whole world split in half. And before I cast judgment, I want to understand the case. But the things that I've been hearing is absolutely diabolical. I heard she her 3 children and then got an M. Y'all gave her $1 million? I don't know what they would need to tell me to convince me that this is okay. But I'm seeing women on TikTok holding and bouncing their baby like, Lindsay, me too. What? Huh? Whoa. This video is by Zevi. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
You see, Lindsay Clancy has a problem. She's currently on trial for premeditatively her 3 kids. Now, the word premeditatively is the key word here. It basically means she thought about it, she planned it, she did it. The defense said that's a damn lie. She did it. She just didn't plan to do it. She was going through psychosis at the time. See, this case is a little more complicated than it may seem, but first, we gotta
when he says at the time, also, like, how long was she going through it? And is she not going through it anymore? Was her children the source of the problem? You know what I'm saying? Like, is she okay now? That's a question. That's a question I need answered, but let's hear.
Understand what happened. You see, one day, Patrick, who was Lindsay's husband at the time, was working from home. After he finished working, he said, look, Lindsay, we don't got time to cook, so you want me to go pick something up? Lindsay said, yes, absolutely. So as Patrick's leaving, Lindsay texts him at 5:15 p.m. Remember that time. One of our 3 kids needs medicine from the CVS. Can you pick it up on your way to get food? He said, bet. So Patrick goes to the CVS, picks up the medicine for the kids. He calls Lindsay, he says, hey, is this the right thing? She says, yeah. He goes to the restaurant, picks up the food, drives home. When he gets to his house, this is the motto of his house, by the way, everything was quiet. He said that's a little weird, so he starts calling out to everybody, his kids and Lindsay. Nobody answers. Eventually, he finds Lindsay outside on the floor. He asked her what happened. She said she tried to herself. He said, okay, where are the kids? She said they're in the basement. So Patrick goes to the basement and finds the 3 kids, calls the police. Police pull up. Everyone is in agreement of what happened. Patrick said, that happened. Lindsay said, that did happen. Prosecutor said, that happened. Police said that happened. Lindsay's defense said, yeah, everything Patrick said happened. People are even in agreement about what happened before that took place. Lindsay said, I was very, very depressed. I was experiencing psychosis. I was seeking help from mental health professionals, from everyone around her. Patrick said, she was. She absolutely was. Her defense says, yes, she was. The mental health professionals come out and say, yeah. She called me. We prescribed her this. She was absolutely seeking help. Everyone's in agreement with that. But the twist is the defense is saying, well, you see that she was seeking all of this help. That's why she was experiencing a lot of mental health issues. And the prosecution is saying, no. That's just an excuse. The kids because she wanted to. Now that you know what happened, here's where things start to get wicked. I'm going to give you facts. We about to get to the nitty gritty of it. First fact, Lindsay, when she tried it herself, it involved her jumping from a high place. She's paralyzed from the waist down because of it. The defense said, you see that she tried it herself for real. She really has mental health issues. The prosecution said, I don't know. She was getting help. Like, what y'all?
Yeah, but mental health issues, like, I don't know what they're fighting for here. This is my question. I think they're fighting for a premeditated M or just M, right? I don't know the difference in time that you have to do because of that. Like, is she fighting for I'm going to get out when I'm 60 or I'm never going to get out at all? I guess, you know what I'm saying? But y'all giving her $1 million for that? You know what I'm saying? Y'all gave her $1 million for that? Which, okay, let's say you're going through some type of crazy psychosis. However, when anybody else goes through any type of psychosis, it ain't no excuse. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You caught it. You done. You're cooked. You're cooked. You got to do that time. But as long as they're not fighting to let her go, she don't need to be let go. You know what I'm saying? Keep her behind bars. You feel me? I guess I'll be cool with that. But giving her an M is crazy. Like, if after she uses up, or if she doesn't use up all the money for the case, you know who gonna have that money? Her husband. And you know what people are saying online? There's a lot of people online that are saying they can't prove it, but it was the husband. They're saying they can't prove it, but it was the husband. Why y'all blaming the husband? They said because he was on the line and he didn't sound like he had enough pep in his step, like he wasn't frantic enough. You know what I'm saying? So they saying that he did it. He gonna go home with like a 100 bands, cause y'all wanna give her a M. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
I mean, this right here is one of the people that was helping her. The defense said, well, I'm glad you brought this person up because the help she was getting is actually the problem. The defense goes to this psychiatrist lady. I forgot her name. The defense said, okay, all the stuff you was giving her, like, was it working?
Also, make sure you guys like the video. This helps me out a lot. But I appreciate all of you guys, and let's get back into the video.
She said, I mean, we was working on it. It wasn't quite, so he said, you didn't do your job for real. That was basically the psychiatrist's argument with the defense. And it was really intense. He was damn near cussing her out, talking about, I found a mistake on your paperwork. What's going on with that? She said, you trying to make it seem like I'm stupid. It was just like a typo. He said, a typo? Ooh, a typo. She said, ooh, you rage baiting me. The judge had to come in. He said, hey, y'all gotta chill. Not in my courtroom. Not in my courtroom. The defense said, oh, so you making typos? You prescribing her whatever, this and that? We just giving her whatever we want. Matter of fact, give me another psychiatrist. Next psychiatrist, pull up. Next psychiatrist, pull up. Defense said, so what was you prescribing her? This, that, and the third? He said, defense, next psychiatrist. He start calling psychiatrists out. Turns out she had like 13 prescriptions. Another psychiatrist pull up said, yeah, she did pull up and say she wanted her stuff. She said it was getting real bad. The defense said, okay, so what did y'all do? Psychiatrist said, well, we didn't do anything. The defense said, excuse me? Yeah, they said, yeah, the rules state that you got to have a plan about yourself before we can actually commit you to something. But, you know, I sent her some resources, and the defense said, where are the resources you sent her? I said, you know what? I actually didn't send her resources. So you could probably see where Lindsay's defense is coming from. They're saying, look, the mental health system failed her. In fact, Lindsay and her defense have a separate civil case where they're suing many people in the mental health system. The prosecution is saying, nah, that still wouldn't have drove her to her kids. That part she did on purpose. She might have had mental health issues, but not bad enough to, she did that on purpose. You could see by the text she's sending people, like she's.
Is she good now though? Because like, what type of mental health help did she get after the case? Is she still going through her psychosis? Is she still depressed? Is she still, you know what I'm saying? We need to understand this. We need to know this. This is the type of information that they need to be trying to figure out. Like, is she still messed up in the head? If she gets out, we're gonna be in for a load of like real BS. You feel me? Because they're gonna be using this case to justify some atrocious things. You feel me?
Team that she was sound of mind, like she did it on purpose. And that's pretty much the case that's going on. Now you'll notice that nowhere in this video that I mentioned the husband Patrick being the culprit, because that is absolutely not the focus of this case by the defense or the prosecution. But let's talk about why people believe that he might be. See, if you remember earlier, I told you Patrick was working. He leaves the house to go get medicine for the kid at CVS, and he goes to get takeout, right? Well, he left the house, remember this number, hey, coincidence, it's actually 5:15 right now. He left the house at 5:15. The CVS is about 3 minutes away from their house. The cameras catch Patrick walking into the CVS at 5:32. He leaves the house 5:15. It's 3 minutes away. He gets there at 5:32. The mathematics ain't adding up. People online are saying, oh, that's weird. But in the actual trial, they didn't really seem to care. Because remember, that's not the defense's argument. That's not the prosecution's argument. But they did ask him about it. The prosecutor told him, look, why did it take you so long to get from your house to the CVS? He said, I don't know. The defense pulled up. They said, no, we got this prosecution. Look, Patrick, we're not saying you did it, but we really need to get to the bottom of this because we got something else over here. It says that you sent an email to your job at 5:24. You leave your house at 5:15. An email gets sent at 5:24. Does that mean you were still at the crib? Like, what's going on for real? Patrick said, bro, I don't know. I might have sent the email from my iPhone, but I know I didn't leave the house that late. I might have sent it from I don't know. I don't remember. That's a little weird. But regardless, the defense did not follow up on this. Now, people also noticed.
Now, they should be asking him some questions, though. They should be asking him a little deeper questions than that. But it's a simple answer. If you can send an email from your iPhone, he should have said, Yep, I sat in the car in front of the CVS, or I sat in the car in front of the home while I was sending my email. You feel me? And, reading emails and stuff. Interesting. Very, very, very interesting.
The husband, Patrick, seemed to have changed his clothes. He seemed to have changed his jacket from a short button down to like a longer button down, because he's also caught in surveillance in the restaurant. In the restaurant, his shoes seem different, and his jacket seems like it has a zipper that pulls down lower. Here's a closer look at his shoes when he was in the restaurant versus the CVS. His shoes seem different, and again, they're saying the jacket seems different. Defense did not follow up on this. They're maintaining this had nothing to do with their case. They're pleading that Lindsay absolutely did it, but she was going through psychosis. People also claim that this might be one of Patrick's friends walking to the CVS, and this might be Patrick going into the restaurant after he finished in the kids. And now that I look at this picture a little closer, do these two people seem to have different hairstyles to you? Okay, but regardless, that's neither here nor there. The defense is saying, we don't care about the hair, we don't care about the clothes, we don't care about this, that, and the third. The defense and the prosecution maintain we are both in agreement about what happened, Lindsay and the 3 kids. We're just not in agreement on why it happened. But regardless of who you think did it, the question of the trial is, can she be held responsible for her kids, even though she was crying out for help, constantly explaining to people that her mental health was really, really, really deteriorating? And that's a question the jury has to ask, and that's a question I want to ask you. What do you think? Let me know. And truly, rest in peace to those 3 kids, because I feel like they're forgotten in all of this, but they should be mentioned first and foremost. Rest in peace to the 3 kids.
Okay. I don't know about this one. If she did it, she got to do the time. I don't care. Yeah, are you liable? Yeah, you liable. It is what it is. I'm sorry. You feel me? I feel like if y'all want to throw her inside of a mental institution for the rest of her life instead of throwing her in prison, okay, I can accept that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. She don't need to be walking around in everyday life with regular people. You feel me? For her to have a mental break and just go do that to her own children and then try to jump off some shit? Nah. She's a danger. You feel me? Who knows the next time she gonna snap and do some other crazy ish. You feel me? And one thing is, a lot of people were talking about postpartum depression, but he didn't say nothing about postpartum depression. He just said depression. You feel me? Anybody go through depression. And then, it comes down to, did the mental health people actually help her, and so on and so forth. They could have did more. They could have institutionalized her, things of that nature. But that also comes down to one of those things where it's like, if the mental health, world was quick to institutionalize people because they say certain things, a lot of y'all would be institutionalized. You feel me? Who can I bring up? Oh, Huda from Love Island. She went to some dude's baby mama's house and was up the elevator sending text messages talking about she gonna jump off the roof and all type of crazy ish. You feel me? She would be institutionalized right now. She would be institutionalized. Lock her up. Put her in there. You feel me? Put a straight jacket on her. She cooked. You feel me? There would be a lot of people institutionalized. But I don't know. This is tricky. She got to do the time though. One thing we can't do is allow people to use this case to get off on anything. You feel me? If she was drugged, you feel me? Like, oh, she was sleeping or someone slipped her this and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, cool. But that don't seem to be the case. They both seem a little crazy though. The husband, even in it, the husband look a little crazy. She also look a little crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if they planned it together. Wouldn't be surprised. And was like, oh, you gonna be able to get off because you went to all these psychiatrists. You gonna be good, shorty. You feel me? Or she was on the drugs. He told her, hey, get the job done. She jumped off some, you feel me? Paralyzed herself. And she ain't remember what was going on. Too much drugs. She taking too much stuff. Don't know what's going on anymore. But she's saying that she remember what's going on, and he said he knows what's going on. But yeah, no, I feel you know, the victim and the victims in all of this, it really is the children. Like, and I'm sorry, but you can't let her, like, she can't get away with that. She can't. She can't. I don't believe so, at least. You know what I'm saying? And for all the people online talking about, I get you, Lindsay. Me too. We understand, Lindsay. For all of y'all talking about the mental health situation and everything, let's institutionalize all of y'all. Everyone that said, "Oh, Lindsay, we understand you. This could have been me." Institutionalize they ass expeditiously. All of y'all institutionalized. You feel me? After I recorded this video, I wanted to actually figure out more about the case that I felt like I didn't learn inside of that video. And this case actually gets a lot, deeper. And one thing is, it wasn't even postpartum depression. She apparently went under postpartum psychosis, which is a whole different thing. 1 in 7 new mothers experience postpartum depression, but postpartum psychosis, 1 to 2 out of every 1,000 births. Right? So it's way less likely, and it's more likely that you can get postpartum psychosis if you have bipolar disorder. And if you have bipolar disorder and then you have a family member that has had postpartum psychosis, it's way more likely that you're going to get postpartum psychosis. And all the different doctors that she went to and things of that nature, they weren't able to look at the information from the other doctors. So she got prescribed so many different things and they weren't able to actually see the full picture. There was also her mother and her sister, I believe, came out and they, spoke on the fact that her mental was getting worse over time. It even got to a point where she spoke to her husband and her mom and said that she had thoughts of hurting the children. Nothing happened from there. I don't know if she told any health professional if she was having thoughts of hurting the children, but she did say that to her family and they did nothing. I also figured out what they were fighting for, right? I didn't know if she was just going to get off or so on and so forth. However, they're fighting for basically facing life without parole and then, going into a mental health facility. And something I found out about the mental health facilities, it's not you getting off because you go to a mental health facility. And most times, people that go into the mental health facilities, instead of going to jail, they do just as much time or sometimes even more time than they would if they actually went to jail. So in that case, I'm not really upset about that. Giving her $1 million still is kind of crazy to me. Then whenever it comes to the trial, the defense is trying to say that she didn't have clarity of mind. Now the state has to prove that she did, which is very difficult ultimately. And then apparently in Massachusetts, they have 2 separate doors, they call it, where in one door, they say that they didn't know what they were doing, right? And they weren't aware of what they were doing, had no control. And the second door is they knew what they were doing, they just didn't have the control to stop, right? How the guy explained it was basically like you're in a car, the steering doesn't work, the engine still works, can't hit the brakes, so you're still going to do something, you just have no control as to what you're doing, even though you're aware that what you're doing is, not good. So I wrap all this up by saying that she's not going to actually get away with doing this, but she has 2 different routes of, what can happen to her from here. And ultimately, I'm not upset at the fact of her going to a mental health institution rather than just spending the rest of her life in prison. But also when it comes to the women holding their children and saying, girl, me too, yeah, I still believe that y'all should be institutionalized. I'm not gonna lie. Before posting this video, I wanted to look a little deeper into the situation and have a better understanding than that video gave me. That video was a nice little top layer, but I took the time to kind of dig a little deeper, and it does get a lot deeper, and even what I'm explaining to you guys isn't everything. So also, you guys do your own research on the situation as well. So yeah, that's about everything for now. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If nobody told you today, I love you. Peace.